part of the stage. Like, they just keep reusing it.
It's funny, because the whole 3D printer gun thing is not really caught on yet. It's one of those things that's technically possible, but isn't an actual problem yet. If that makes any sense?
You're right, but...
It will become a problem! Don't get me wrong!
You would
I only have the ability to say that.
Well, now you kind of can.
Well, actually, now you almost can.
You wouldn't download a fucking control... Oh, wait, yes you would, because it's cheaper.
Oops. 3D printer is both some of the most amazing technology and probably some of the most fucking problematic.
I mean, I don't think it's problematic at all. I think it's actually mostly advantageous.
It's
There's some minor...
what it forces society to do.
No, it's
what
actually...
it's going to. Because, like, imagine, like, software piracy as an issue. I put that in have some heavy core, of course. Well, imagine that as an issue. Now imagine it just, I don't know, proliferated, like, millions of times over to everything else.
Okay.
Now we have an issue.
But the issue can't be solved. So it doesn't matter, because it literally can't be solved, because the only way you can solve it is essentially with thought policing.
Well, not with thought policing. You could... There's a few different methods you could use, right? You could make,
3D
the owning
food
of
is
3D
already...
printers illegal without, like, specific licensing from, like, a medical corporation or something like that.
3D printed foods are already technically a possibility with certain types of printers.
Yeah, you need the ingredients to do it, of course. Don't get me wrong. This is like the whole point of 3D printers. They can't make something out of nothing, obviously. They don't break the fucking rules of thermodynamics. Like, you need the right ingredients in a 3D printer to make anything. Which is what I was going to say, also.
I'm gonna die. I'm dead.
You could also prevent the selling of certain 3D printer materials. That would be used to create problematic things.
Okay.
Which would basically... honestly, the only way to solve this is to outlaw, largely, use of 3D printers for private use.
Good. Why did you have a 5 over your head and float past a bubble?
I didn't see a bubble.
I didn't see it either, actually.
There was like a huge bubble going up and popping, and then another
The drowning music will never go away, Bombcat. There's no escape.
I mean, you're right. You could do that. That's also won't happen, Gemini. We're not just going to ban 3D printers for private use. That's insanity.
Kind of the only way to solve the problem.
The
Here's
problem,
the thing,
then the problem isn't real.
Problems?
Because here's the deal: if the only way to solve the problem is to completely ban an entire piece of technology, like, then society has to change, not the technology.
Nothing wrong with society.
Society is wrong here. Society is absolutely wrong. If the only way they can get around, like, oh no, people might make things we don't want them to. Like, that's already a problem? Do we ban every other product that allows that?
But here's the thing, 3D printers allowed on such a scale and in such a variety that, like, it's too much. It basically invalidates, like, the economy, almost.
Not
put something
really.
in its place. Like, there's not... Imagine this. There is no longer a single product you have to pay legitimate money for. Not one.
But you still have to have all of the independent resources to make those products anyway, which are
the vast majority of cases, plastic and a few other, like computer elements that are pretty cheap and easy to get.
And it's also assuming
not every case, but, like...
Be made reliably out of plastic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, which many can. A lot of products.
A lot of things can, and yet a lot of things already can be made extraordinarily cheap, and yet they have not completely killed the existence. In fact, they have even damaged the existence of other
most
products.
People don't know how to, from scratch, make a GameCube controller.
No,
but
you don't understand. That's not what was being said right there. The notion is like making a plastic cup, okay? You'll be able to make your own cups, for example, your own silverware and stuff like that. Those things already exist and are already significantly cheaper than the alternatives, and yet they haven't destroyed the alternatives, and they won't, even if people can make their own plastic silverware.
Well, okay, there's a few reasons for... Well, when you say those already exist, in what format are you talking about?
But plastic silverware?
Yes.
What do you mean? You can go buy it anywhere, and it's super cheap.
No, I know I can go buy plastic silver, but what do you mean when you say people can make their own plastic silver?
I didn't say people can make their own currently. I'm saying it's an extremely cheap alternative. Essentially, keep in mind that you still have to spend money on the resources to make these things. And in a lot of cases, it's, as a private individual, going to be far more expensive than the plastic mass-produced alternatives that exist. So,
That
That's
depends
the
on
thing.
what you're making. That honestly, like, a good example is a GameCube controller. The components to make a GameCube controller cost like nothing compared to the actual like.
Okay, you do realize that even with a 3D printer, you couldn't get away with making, like, you could make the plastic shell of a GameCube controller.
Oh, you need some other components to make the controller, but if nothing that's
You
uncommon for any other.
need
You
to
need-
know how to design a proprietarily built controller. Like,
You don't need to know that to get blueprints.
You don't understand.
those
You're
don't,
right.
those aren't
the
publicly
blueprints.
available.
Well,
First off, yes, someone will make a 3D model, and you can print the 3D model for the controller. You cannot get the printed circuit boards, which are really irritating. You're going to have to either salvage one of those from another controller. Like, you realize that, right?
how would you not be able to get the circuit boards?
Where are you going to get them from?
Upload them?
Upload circuit boards.
Yeah.
First of all,
Do you know what a
upload?
circuit board is?
Yes.
No, you don't, if you're saying upload a circuit board.
Okay, and when we live in a theoretical world, by the way, that thing needs to. When we live in a theoretical world where, like, the 3D printer can print theoretically any product that exists with the right materials, including organs and food.
Then we won't have our current economy, because it's not viable in the long
I was going to
term.
say, at that point, if you don't outlaw 3D printers, the economy explodes. It can no longer exist.
Yes, and our current economy is shit anyway, and we should be looking to completely revolutionize and change
I
it.
mean, also,
what?
that's
That
not
kind of
true.
technology is a very good thing, though.
Gemini, you realize the economy adapts to being largely based on the buying and selling of the materials, right? Like, just because you're not buying and selling the products being made anymore doesn't mean no money is being made off of anything. There's still labor in
No,
gathering
but
the
it creates,
materials, packaging them, selling them, etc.
it creates a big problem where, first of all, like, a once wide and diverse market, which was based on the buying of specific products that only certain companies could make, trade secrets and otherwise, collapses, and so you have now only a small semblance of the market
Okay,
at all.
the problem is that still won't happen. That still won't happen. If that was going to happen, Gemini, then the mass availability of counterfeits that exist for a huge percentage of products that are already out there would have wiped out anything that's more expensive than them, market-wise. And yet it doesn't. It never does. There will always be the name brand effect. Yeah,
the
you
name
can,
brand effect is powerful, but
you can print out, like, shells for controllers. As far as circuit boards and stuff like that, though, I mean, yes, you're right, Gemini, but you would still need to acquire, like, pure silicone. By the way, good luck. Even if you have a 3D printer that could print the board itself, right, Gemini?
Yeah.
You would still need to acquire, like, high-grade silicone sheets, like single crystal silicone sheets,
Yeah.
which you're not doing. I mean, it's not feasible for something like, to acquire the raw materials for something like that.
Well,
So
it's
again, you're
unfeasible right
wrong.
now. Well, it's unfeasible
no,
right
you're-
now.
No, you're still wrong. It's unfeasible without, like...
It's
Okay,
the kind of
the
thing that's
problem
only
is-
really
is that if you're-
feasible to manufacture on a large scale.
I know exactly what you're talking about now, and the problem is that you're right. In the society where there are no limitations on anything and everything can be acquired by anyone, our current economy falls apart, and it should. Because in that society, we don't need our current economic structure, so it needs to fall apart.
Well, okay. This is...
In the situation you're talking about, we want our current economy to collapse.
Okay, in the situation I'm talking about, if that happens, if what you said happens, like, and everybody has everything that they... Like, at that point, the economy becomes, like, vestigial at best, and I hope we have something different by then. But the thing is that, like... Okay, so you're right? Silicone boards for individuals, private individuals right now, are obviously very hard to acquire, and they only ever really do, like, deals with big companies. For very obvious reasons, right? Because there's no consumer demand for silicone boards. What do you, like, consumers don't use them for anything.
Like, hobbyists can acquire them, but,
Hobbyists
I mean...
can acquire them, yeah. But for the most part, right, there's no massive consumer demand for this. But come a black market? Well, not a black market, but come, like, you know, a more, like, accepted time of consumers just buying, or just fucking, you know, 3D printing things instead of buying them, consumer demand for that shit is going to skyrocket. Basic material consumer demand is going to
It'll
skyrocket.
skyrocket, which means that our market shifts, not disintegrates. That's the thing.
It shifts to people printing silicone boards, and then all of a sudden the people who have big ideas, the people who actually make stuff out of it, their economy collapses.
But
and
those,
goes
you act
elsewhere.
like they're special people, and they're not.
They're
They're
the
just
people who
everyone
make
else,
the most money
and-
out of the economy right now.
And
it would
those people
completely
don't
shift.
matter.
Like,
At the end of the day, as long as things are still innovative, as long as people are still creating things, and people will still innovate, people will still build completely new concepts and ideas, then it's fine if who's making the most money shifts things. Like, Smash has the most valid thing, by the way, which is, well, you could make counterfeit replica limited edition controllers, which will resell for a lot, because you could actually afford then to gut a more commonly produced one, right?
yeah, that too.
Like, that'll happen, but that already happens.
That
Yeah,
does
there are
already
companies
happen.
that do
Like,
that.
that's
Like
already...
that's not something that I'm like. That's not the
That's
doom
not
and gloom I'm
unique.
talking about.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about literally a world where 3D printing everything becomes possible. And the thing is that, like, if it becomes possible to a consumer level where it's not, like literally, here's your thing, here's all of these really popularly available things that you can just kind of download and make, you don't have to go out to the store anymore. You don't really have to do almost anything anymore. And so, like, the convenience of that, for that many things at once, if it was just
Actually-
one thing, I would agree with you. But for almost everything at once, one
The
product,
problem is
everybody
that
would learn
the
to use
problem
it.
is if it's in a situation where it's almost everything, then we have already transitioned to the type of society I was talking about. And the current economic structure needs to go away because it no longer has a place in the world.
Well, I suppose it does depend on how fast that type of thing happens, right? This
Like-
is always the problem with technology, and we're seeing it right now, is that technology typically far outpaces social construction.
Exactly,
And
because
it
social
creates
construction
problems.
needs to get... Like, social construction is bad, and especially the way that we build things so they can't be changed quickly in a society where we know this is going to happen.
Right, but it's a distinct problem because like social constructions by their very nature cannot change as fast as technology. Because people don't change as fast as technology. They take a very, very, very long time to change.
Only
if they
because
ever
of their
do.
own idiocy and incapability to understand what technology is
There's a
doing.
little bit of that. There's also a little bit of the fact that since human beings are more complicated than any technological thing that we've ever created or probably ever will create for a very, very long time, social constructs are an attempt to control humanity and fucking conform human behavior to a certain point, which is always going to be harder than any technological knickknack you can ever invent. So, social change is always going to be slower and more difficult. That's just the problem.
They'll be
And
slower and
the
more
other
difficult,
problem
but
is that social technology
if you're gonna-
relies on social construction. to
But if
fucking function.
you're going to force anything, you have to force society to change, not stop technology, and stop innovation, and stop the betterment of society by virtue. Like, you can't restrict this kind of stuff. Also, this is like the encryption argument, by the way, which
I was
is
going to say this is going to come up pretty
shit.
soon.
Because remember, you stop encryption. Okay, great. You stopped it in what, one part of the world, and then the entire rest of the world has it, and now you don't. You're fucked.
Yeah, encryption is a little bit of a bad argument here because like encryption
Well,
has
no,
to do with
because-
safety.
Because here, the same thing happens. You get people that have access to this technology, and especially once it's understood, and your country goes, oh, fuck it, like, we're not going to do this anymore, like, we're banning it here. Okay, well, then, if it's so easy, and it's so widely available, and it's so easy to make any product you want, just go to a country where it's supported, because it's actually worth leaving behind anything for that.
You're right, but actually,
And you won't be able to control it globally.
no, probably not. Well, I don't know what kind
No,
of world
you
is
won't.
going to exist internationally then, and like nobody does. But no, you probably won't be able to control it globally even then. But here's the thing, right? This is the distinction. Encryption is about safety. This 3D printer thing is about trade. Historically, you can control imports and exports a lot easier than you can control security.
You can control imports and exports.
Like,
But what you can't control is this country is now so far ahead of us because they didn't decide to place arbitrary, shitty restrictions on their residents and citizens. And this has happened before, so...
That's very debatable, because then you're getting into actual economic philosophy. Because you're saying that a society that exists wherein people have infinite access to 3D printers and the economic scale changes is actually going to be superior. And
Oh, it will be.
That's a question.
I-
That's
I-
not something I'm comfortable saying.
I would argue it's not a question, because those people, there's far more individuals who have the ability to create, have the ability to innovate, have the ability to do things without having, like... Okay, here's the notion. The more people in a society that have their basic needs met and have free and excess time to do other things, the better that society is going to function. This is universally true. Like, every society that you look at, this pretty much holds up.
For the most part.
You give a bunch of people the ability to really dramatically lower their cost of living and dramatically increase the amount of time that they have to spend with their family, the amount of time they have to spend working on hobbyist projects and things like that. The amount of stuff that gets made is going to go up dramatically. The amount of innovation that eventually comes out because of the sheer... It's almost statistics. The more people that you have making anything, the more chances you have for something new or innovative to be made in the first place. You're going to actually have technological evolution spark even faster in a society like this. And it could create a runaway effect.
The more people you have making things.
Yes, and
Yes.
the more people that have access and the time to do this at all, the more likely it is to have people to do this stuff.
It's an interesting argument, actually, because there's one specific instance that goes against this.
What?
And it's a confounding thing that seems to confuse a lot of people who hold this type of mentality. America is the leading innovator of medical technology in the world. It's not even close. It's not even a little bit close. We fucking stomp literally everybody else in terms of medical technology. In terms of getting people, like, you know, the adequate support, and in terms maybe of our overall medical coverage, no, we're not first. But in terms of the actual medical stuff we produce, we crush literally every other nation in the world.
Yes.
So our innovation is top. And, free healthcare? Oh, I'm sorry, no, we don't have that.
Because that has nothing to do with medical innovation.
Well,
That's not
you
even
could argue-
remotely.
first of
That's
all,
not
you
even
could
remotely
argue-
similar to this. First off, because you're not handing the ability to research and develop new drugs to literally everybody in this situation. So this doesn't apply. Like,
How does the 3D printer allow everybody to research and develop things?
okay, in your example, you specifically made mention that it will give everybody the ability to print everything that they need. They'll have
Yeah,
a
but they won't know
dramatic.
how to use it. Like, they won't
They
know
won't-
how to fucking, like, use it. They'll just know how to download fucking things and then run them.
Okay.
I'm not saying emulators give people the tools to fucking hack games.
Actually, it did. It gave people the tools to understand them. It's why ROM hacks basically didn't... Like, you do realize that without that, we wouldn't have had the tools that then got created afterwards that allowed ROM hacks and things like that to be made.
Well, yes, okay, from a small portion of the
Because
emulators.
we had no capability to have dumps. Yes, but it's a much larger portion than 0%!
Mega Miner's on the bus.
Also,
Is-
hello, Mega Miner.
The larger portion is 0%, you're right.
Like, here's the thing, also. Medical innovation is a very different thing, Gemini. The more companies, though, the more companies you have researching, this is why the United States does so well. We have so many large pharmaceutical companies that are doing this kind of research. We have so much money invested in it. The more investment you have in it, the more capability your country has, the better you're gonna do, obviously.
Yeah, there's definitely that too. But when I say this comes down a little bit to political philosophy, it's the idea of what spurs innovation.
Well, you mean economic, I think, but
Did I not? I said economic.
you said political.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, economics. Never mind. Yes,
Political and
let's
economic
just say
philosophy
economic.
are completely disconnected. They link in certain particular ways with certain political systems, but they're different things.
You could argue that how you want to change economics is actually a political issue because it's about changing things via law, which is what politics is all about. But regardless, like, it doesn't matter. Yes, economic philosophy. It's a little bit of a question of what makes or what spurs innovation, and how I see it is innovation is spurred at least partially by incentive. The less incentive there is to innovate, the less innovation there's going to be, regardless of how much time people have. To get proper incentive to innovate, there needs to be enough of a rainbow at the end of the fucking... It's not this way for everybody, but it's this way for enough people that it does, like, affect innovation on the whole.
It's
So,
partially
like-
this way for people because they've been trained to see things that way, though, which is...
I don't know, I think that's... I don't know if I agree
No,
with that. That's
you're
just human
raised in
nature.
that. You're just raised in that mentality. Like everybody is raised in that mentality because they see these people that like, oh, look, they did the thing, and now they're so rich that they physically couldn't spend the amount of money they've been given.
It's
Like
human
even
nature.
if they tried, it's like, yeah, but should you actually aspire to that? No, of course not. You shouldn't aspire to that. Nobody should be in that situation. Nobody should even be allowed to be in that situation.
Everybody
That's
aspires
like
to that. Everybody
that's
wants
an
to be the biggest guy
that's
on
an
top.
That's an economic failure. The fact that we have wealth gaps like that.
But it creates incentive for people. It makes people look up to something, and it's what actually causes the economy to work. You need
It's what
people so
causes
far at the top because, like...
Yes, it is what causes our current capitalistic economy to work.
If you fucking shift it to be like, no, the silicon miners are the ones who are making all the money now. Like, silicon money doesn't involve innovation, it doesn't involve a lot of this
In
other
fairness,
stuff. It's
the
just
people
supply
distributing the designs for things are also making tons of money because, like, a lot of things would shift focus to software and the design of things being distributed.
Yes, there's still people who distribute designs who are going to get, like, a lot of money. That's true, and I suppose you could argue in that case that, like, the design of things, the most raw innovation, is what's getting the most supported there, and a lot of other things involving company branding and whatnot. But the thing is that those are I don't know if they are even making that much money, though, because, like, it's insanely easy to pirate them. And it would
no.
be massively pirated.
Hold on, no. In what universe is that true?
In the universe where the internet exists? You're talking about fucking blueprint designs that are going to be distributed through digital medium so that people can use it on a 3D printer. Yes, they will be massively pirated.
I have a legitimate question for you, Gemini. Have you heard of a little thing called Kdaymea? Because it's been stirring up a lot of people in the gaming community, especially the game piracy community, because it has not been cracked in. It was cracked once and then it was updated. It hasn't been cracked since in like almost a year, which is unfucking precedented for fucking video game piracy.
That is unprecedented, actually. I had not heard of that.
And as technology advances, things get harder and harder to pirate because more and more difficult technologies to crack are developed. And in a world where things are more often digital than physical, suddenly the companies that have to develop these things become like bigger and like more numerous.
Do you think we're ever going to reach perfect security?
No, that's impossible.
The point is, things get harder and harder to crack as time goes on. God fucking damn it, this ball.
The notion of true perfect security is you never consider it because it's not real. It's not possible. It doesn't exist.
No, of course not. I thought I might as well ask.
It's completely not on the table. Like, there's no such thing.
It's also not required in this scenario.
Yeah, remember, perfect security, like, security in and of itself is actually reactionary. You can't create security until, like, security has been broken so that you understand that there is a vulnerability or weakness that can be attacked.
Yeah.
So you literally, like, it's reactionary and it's completely impossible to just make something that's, it's just perfect.
Yeah, of course. Although
Well,
get to a point.
I realize you're trying to be cheeky, but I actually still quite enjoy this game, even though I'm terrible at fucking water stages.
I was just saying, like, this has actually been going on for quite some time.
Like, I literally said at the beginning, I'm terrible at this game, and don't let that color your opinion of the game itself.
Don't let the sun color your opinion?
Yeah, oh my god, Gemini.
That was literally the joke that was implied.
Oh, wow, alright, you cheeky bastard.
That took you forever, dude.
Fine.
Well, he did it!
He did.
He did it!
We would all have to be in boxes.
Oh, you're making a Rhythm Heaven fan game? That sounds amazing. You will absolutely have to, like, keep us updated on that. We will play that shit.
I would play it, yeah. I want to play Mega Mix. I can't even do that. The sad world.
Ah, you'll get your fucking 3DS. Maybe if you could 3D print your components.
If I could 3D print a Katsukity capture card, I'd be fucking done with those Japanese bits.
Except the problem is even if you could 3D print it, you wouldn't understand how it functioned or how to install it, so it wouldn't matter. You'd still have to seek professional help to get it working.
No, I just 3D print the software.
You don't know what software is, do you?
No, I'm just
Can I hurt you, Gemini? Like,
I'm obviously just kidding. Yes, Gemini, there's this thing called computers. You don't have to 3D print that. Really? Also, what's a computer? Follow-up question.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You can just 3D print one. It'll just work.
Holy shit. No, but actually...
With your BIC that you don't understand either.
Well, fun fact, actually, if I was able to perfectly 3D print a capture card, 3DS Katsukity capture card in the 3DS, full put together, I would be able to use it immediately. Because I already have the software.
If you could print the whole thing completely put together from the get-go, but
that's also not how that works. Like,
no, totally.
That is one of the biggest limitations of 3D printing.
Better?
No, like that is, as it stands, that is one of the biggest physical limitations of a 3D printer is you have to print parts individually and then assemble them.
Current limitations?
Likely eternal limitations.
Yeah, that's just Twitter talk.
not eternal limitations, but limitations to the extent that, again, we would
let's
reach a
put it
part
this
where
way.
society has to be completely changed for us to...
The closest you would get to that, Gemini, is having both a 3D printer and an assembly machine.
You contributed a
Yeah,
few
the 3D
minigames
printer
to this?
doubles
That's
that.
actually pretty cool.
Like, you can follow specific instructions in the blueprint that tell it how to, like, assemble things as it's creating them.
That's
You realize
way
you're-
outside of anything we can technologically do.
You realize
now,
you're
yes.
proposing a machine that is basically a Swiss Army knife of
Well,
manufacturing.
I am proposing the incredible machine,
Actually-
Scott.
You're proposing something else, though, that's extremely dangerous, by the way.
Wait, what
Okay.
is Kdamea's theory?
I'm not sure that this really counts.
Printed circuit board I did it!
Printed circuit boards are, of course, a fucking thing. That's how they're made, but you're still not going to go, like, acquire an exact circuit board that is printed to the specifications you need for a specific piece of fucking equipment.
Yeah, as long as it has the blueprints, it can just fucking follow them along and print them like that.
Okay, but you would have to have that specific type of printer, and again, when we reach that level of technology, that's a completely different thing, Gemini. I understand that your theory is crackpot as shit, but...
Of course it is, it's my theory! I wouldn't own to a theory that wasn't crackpot as shit. This boss looks fucking awful!
You've had
It
some
is.
legitimate ones!
This boss is
I
like
like
a
the one
version
where
of
quantum theory
the
required that your
fucking-
consciousness be in two places at once.
Like, this
What
is
am-
the Candyland boss with water physics. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, it is, that makes it worse.
What about a 3D printer that makes a 3D printer?
Oh shit!
Then what are you gonna do? Then what's your perfect
I
society
remember,
gonna do?
no, I remember this, not this argument, but I remember this Doomsday thing being, like, used on, I think it was Discovery, where they did, like, the top 10 ways the world could end.
You mean-
and
you
one of them
mean
was, like,
Grey
the
Goo.
fucking... Yeah, the Grey Goo, yeah, the
It's-
nano
it's
machines
Grey
that
Goo.
make more
Yeah.
nano machines.
Yeah, it's Grey Goo theory.
Well,
Which
in
is the
fairness,
dumbest, like, fucking...
when 3D printers were first being introduced, people were like, well, what if people just 3D print a 3D printer?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's already fucking been saying that shit.
You can't 3D print a 3D printer because the 3D
Oh,
printer couldn't
but
fit
Gemini,
within itself.
But Gemini, in your
I-
fantasy land, you can print anything, so
Also-
we'll just
also-
print 3D printers for the
Like...
people.
Okay, well,
Also,
So
Gemini.
we'll outlaw the 3D printers and then have people black market print 3D printers that print 3D printers, and then the technology spreads so fast you fucking can't control it.
Also, Gemini, two things. One, you could print a smaller 3D printer. Two, you could print the components for a 3D printer and then assemble it, because it's what you have to do with fucking things you 3D print anyway.
See, the problem with printing a smaller 3D printer is that eventually you'd reach a point of diminishing returns where you have, like, a 3D printer keychain, and then it can't really do much of anything.
Well, you just buy
That's-
one 3D printer that's bigger than the 3D printer you actually need and print nothing but smaller 3D printers.
Well, then you would need to be some kind of 3D printer manufacturer who sells smaller 3D printers to
But
other
why would
people.
you... No. That's the thing, though. Since you only need the raw materials, and in your fantasy land, you can get those really easily, you'll just make 3D printers and give them away to fuck up your world that no one likes because you're trying to restrict them from doing shit.
Hang on, I have to go 3D print myself a bottle of water.
Not sure that's ever gonna be possible.
I solved the grandfather paradox. When you go back in time and you shoot your fucking grandfather, it's perfectly consistent. There's no paradox, because that's not how time works. Bye! God. Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god, this color power is so awkward to use.
Actually, parts of Texas aren't too bad, Smash Bro. Corpus Christi's pretty nice. You did, Yuck Yuck. You started an hour-long conversation about fucking 3D printers and how they're going to destroy the Earth. I love that. So, thank you for this pixel. I love that the A to C battery adapter is 2 pieces of plastic that you put the battery in.
Yeah. That's what all battery adapters are.
Who needs emulators? Just 3D print a Wii. Oh man. Yeah, I think we're a long ways from Gemini's world, Skudd. Let's see here. Things you should print. Shopping bag handles. Oh, a one-handed bottle opener.
Yeah, I mean, there gets to be a point where we first have to get beyond the limitation of printing in cheap-ass PVC.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, this guy printed a shower head. You could pull that off in PVC, so...
I mean, yeah, there's some things you totally can print with it, but, like, there's only so much you can print with cheap PVC. What the fuck?
Well,
oh my god.
Okay, Venomcraft, I can understand that, but I personally actually like, Corpus Christi. I actually thought it was fantastic. I stayed there for about a month. It was lovely. It's right on the Gulf. I was actually staying at Texas A&M in Corpus Christi, so it's like right on the water. The self-watering planter thing is actually fucking cool, yeah.
I think that was one of the all-time dumbest conversations I've ever been a part of. Hello, everybody. What kind of... Oh, you could look like you have the Angry Wisp now, Skudd.
It's Frenzy, and it's really awkward to use.
Yeah, Kdaymea, how do you explain all the different plastics?
Gemini?
What happens, Kdaymea, when we can make plastic silicone boards?
Okay, so... I'm done with this discussion. because... You are...
I like how I didn't even say circuit board, I said specifically silicone board.
I'm gonna print a plastic silicone board!
Like, let me say the dumbest thing I possibly can. What then? Checkmate.
Gemini,
Yeah,
do you also
okay,
listen to plastic
that's
heavy metal?
Yes, all done.
That's true. You can print fiberglass.
I listen to heavy water, actually.
Yes, I realize, Pixel, but do you realize that the 3D robotic arm that you're talking about them printing was printed in thousands of individual components and had to be manually assembled and required technology that is... Gemini is talking about the day when you can go to google.com and type in, "Yo, bitch, gimme the blueprints for that new hot shit."
By then, I hope people learn how to Google better than that.
No, see, by then Google's going to be self-aware and it's going to be like, I'm offended by that, please leave.
No, Google's going to be self-aware and then it's going to respond with, "Yo, fam, I got you."
And, like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, that's what Gemini was talking about. I understand that, yes, in reality, you can actually print a lot of things with current 3D printer technology, but it also requires an extraordinary amount of personal knowledge with how to assemble this shit.
It also requires industrial-level 3D printers owned by universities.
Oh yeah, Kdaymea, what happens when I can 3D print the robot arm that will then manufacture the next robot arm that I 3D print? So really, I only have to make the first couple of robot arms, and then the whole process is automated. This argument has become a complete parody of itself.
And you also have to, you know, write all the programming for the robot arm so that it understands what the fuck it's doing.
Yeah, but, you know, you only have to do that once, and then all the other ones you 3D print from there,
No,
right?
actually you don't. This is what's cool about this. You don't. Do you understand why?
No.
Because even if you were using modern deep learning AI, you can't make the other arm learn how its job is subtly different from the programming of the first. You would have to actually understand how it happens, and no, you can't do what you're talking about.
Well, you just have the programmer change the programming in a couple of places. And that's only for the left and right arm. Once you make those, you can make lots of sets of left and right arms, and the programming for those would all be the same.
Well, assuming that everything was set up exactly the same, and you had access to the sheer volume of resources and printers.
How do you think robotics works, Kdaymea? Duh.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Oh my god. Never mind, this is the best argument I've ever taken part in.
I don't want to speak to you. This is insane.
I don't want to see your face.
Now I understand why your immediate comparison was, but the pharmacies are good.
Hey man, that was part of the non-parody argument.
Yeah,
I'll just so much better than Netflix.
I'm just gonna fucking go 3D print a goddamn cat.
That sounds like a
Who
good
needs
idea.
people? We've got 3D printers. I'll just print you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then kill you.
Can I have 3D printed Gemini? That would be awesome.
No,
that would really
because,
be Gemini.
No, you can't have
Oh.
3D printed Gemini because I need to make enough of them that I can slaughter, so that I can get over the infuriating rage that has been instilled upon me with the insane babble that has came out of your mouth for the last hour and a half on a topic where you couldn't possibly know less of what you're talking about.
Oh my god, I almost fucking... Oh my god, no, there's a little bit of banana on my earphone now, hold on.
Gemini, Mega Man's got a really good point.
Mega Man
Somebody
has a
printer to print an authentic Philly
Philly
cheesesteak. We'll find out.
Oh my god, you're right. Somebody get us... We need funding. Somebody donate right now enough so we can get a 3D printer to finally settle this argument.
We need a 3D printer with an AI that can determine what makes an authentic Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Oh look, I just 3D printed a donation.
Oh my god, wait, did he actually?
I don't know, did
I
he?
don't have a donation.
Shit, we don't have a
set up, so
donate.
you
Oh
have
my
to check.
god.
Let me go check.
Oh my god.
Like,
Fucking hell.
I neglected to ask either of you how to get that set up.
Oh, he donated 20 bucks!
Oh my god, Smash Bro! I can 3D print so many things with that!
Thank you, Smash Bro.
Thank you, Smash Bro. I will 3D print a certificate of authenticity for you at some point down the line.
You actually can't 3D print anything with that because you would need a 3D printer which costs considerably more than that.
Well, shut up. I'll figure something out, don't worry about it.
Holy shit.
Maybe it'll just be a regular printed certificate that I say is 3D printed.
Yeah, I think Yug Yug wants this to be a highlight.
I'll make it a highlight, don't worry.
And the funny thing is, at this point, more of this stream has been spent talking about 3D printers and how they're going to destroy the world than actual game.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm just here dying repeatedly.
Oh,
Which actually
I love
may
how
be
it-
why we're
Thank
not
you.
talking about the game.
Thank you, Smash Bro.
Thank
We
you,
know
Smash Bro. Thank you
we know we don't have a donation alert right now, but
Holy shit.
we appreciate it.
I will play something in your honor next time we stream anyways.
Yeah, it's gonna
God.
be an hour-long highlight.
I love how it was like half an hour of legitimate actual argument about societal influences, and then I come back and it's like 20 minutes of a fucking like parody conversation.
Oh, I was done with you. I was like, this is fucking...
I think we were all done. I was done when I left to 3D print myself a bottle of water. I was like, that was the dumbest conversation I've ever been a part of. And so like after that, I was just like, yeah, then they'll 3D print Congress. What then, Kdaymea?
We'd probably actually be in a better situation than our current Congress. So.
I don't, well, because it would be a perfect 3D printing replica, so I think actually it would be in a very similar, technologically advanced.
no,
Can you just do us all a favor and
Because-
3D print somebody who's actually competent in video games so I can stop playing this?
That one's gonna be a little bit hard, Skudd. They don't have. Kdaymea is impossible to 3D print, as of right
shit.
now.
I said somebody who's competent in video games.
Oh!
Yep, see?
Alright, you're right. Let me get, I'm sorry, I don't know anyone who's competent in video games, actually.
Yes, Pixel! People are... Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, we talked about the 3D
Yes.
printed organs as part of our initial argument, and, like, there's a reason I didn't push that one very much, it's because I understand that, like... That's kind of a moot... Kdaymea is the one who brought up 3D printed food, like, 10 minutes into our conversation.
Like, yes, these are all things. They're possible. And as our society and technology evolves, they're going to become more possible. But the notion that we will reach this point where a 3D organ printing machine is within the reach of the common man, and more importantly, is in the reach of what Gemini wanted, which is a single device that can take any blueprint.
Yeah, that's not
make
going to happen
anything.
in any of our lifetimes. And
So-
Yeah,
are you
that's
serious? That was
totally
just
outside
a
of
hole.
it.
That was just a pit. That was
Somebody
that
is
was
just like-
death.
Wait, you what? What is the point of that?
Get fucked on.
That is some
Scott.
bullshit. Fucking Kdaymea, I swear, somebody is going to, like, pretty soon be like, oh, 3D printed butt plugs, what now, Kdaymea?
Those already exist.
Checkmate.
Look, I understand how 3D fucking printing works.
That can't already exist.
It does.
3D
Really?
printed blood puck? Yeah, that wouldn't even be hard to
Like,
print.
it's just a
Well, but,
solid
like,
mass
who
of
owns-
plastic.
Well, yeah, I know, but, like, well, not in all cases, actually.
3D printers, Okay, 3D printers that just
I
print
like
plastic
that you
stuff.
apparently know enough to say that.
Butt plugs can be incredibly varied.
Like 3D. Okay, Gemini. Here's the thing, though. 3D printers that just print in like PVC and print in strip plastic, right?
Yes.
Are already commercially affordable for people.
Oh, well, okay.
For anyone.
Okay. So we already
Like-
live in that world, right?
Yeah, that world already exists. That's
Okay.
not even like they're not even like $300.
Oh, well, okay, so that's not that bad. So
Maybe-
maybe I
maybe
can
fi-
print a 3D print a certificate of authenticity for Smash.
Yeah,
I don't know why you would. When 2D
It would
printing
be-
it would work better.
Yeah,
Well,
it would be so expensive to print that compared to just printing a piece of paper that says
That's true.
"Thank you."
Well, it also actually makes me question why anybody would bother to get a 3D printed butt plug, because I think actually it would be less expensive to just buy one.
Wait,
I mean, I'm not an expert on the subject or anything, but I'm just,
You
saying.
wouldn't buy a 3D printer just to print a butt plug, but if you had a 3D printer, you probably would consider it.
Yeah, you might.
Well, I
print
guess the
a butt
plastic
plug
might
because
not. Yeah, okay.
The Donald Trump one is pretty good too.
Where do you get the blueprints for that? I've asked enough
What do you mean?
questions.
Yeah, I mean, first off, you could make the 3D model yourself,
3D model
or
one
Oh, that's
yourself,
true, you
and-
could.
And
Do it
then,
in Blender.
Like, you have it to exactly your own taste.
actually,
No, that's a good
depending
point.
upon the 3D printer, yeah, I'd probably accept Blender models, but
Yeah, most of them do actually accept Blender models.
We are
Blender
going
and
to
3ds Max.
single-handedly put Bad Dragon out of business.
yeah, you're right, Gemini. Even though we live in a world where that's quote unquote. See, there's a counter to your fucking argument. How the fuck do dildo producers exist? If 3D printers can already print them all.
Oh shit! I think actually it's partially because the common man does not yet have. The common man can have access to a 3D printer, but I think, like Skudd mentioned, nobody is going to buy one just for that.
I mean, 3D printers right now are still in the hobbyist realm a little bit.
Death by butt plug.
Oh.
This is something that has happened at least once, Jazz. I don't dare you to look it up, though. Please don't, in fact.
Oh my god.
Well, there have been a lot of hospital visits related.
Yeah,
around
no,
them.
exactly. Like, Pixel's
We'll
got
say
the
that
idea,
much.
right? You don't. It's not that you buy the printer to print the butt plug. You buy the printer because you want a 3D printer, and then like, oh, it can do that? Yeah, sure, I'll make one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And
it's,
more
it's just like,
importantly-
I've run out of things to 3D print. Well,
if Gemini is like economics
Oh my
works out,
God.
once you
why
have
this gimmick again?
once you have the ability to print the butt plug, why wouldn't you just like open up an Etsy store and sell custom butt plugs? Like,
You could.
and yet it doesn't
Susie
happen.
does.
And yet it doesn't happen.
No, she doesn't. That is not accurate. Well, actually, that is a good question. Why doesn't that happen, Kdaymea?
Why doesn't it happen? Well, because nobody cares to do something like that.
You could make money. I mean, honestly, you could.
Not much.
Well, maybe not much. I actually don't. To be fair, like my knowledge of the market demand of butt
First
plugs
off-
is very low.
First off, cost-sell ratio, not great. Second off, the types of material that you would be printing on, not anywhere close to the quality of actual butt plugs. So, like,
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say, right, because like it's not just fucking plastic. I know that much. I'm not like.
no, you can 3D print on things that are not just plastic,
I
but
won't
most
do
things that print on anything stronger than plastic are industrial grade and are just not accessible.
Pro tip: don't put anything industrial grade into any orifice. that's just my like Gemini's like hot tip of the day.
But okay,
If something is industrial grade, don't stick it anywhere.
well, I mean that's actually not a very good argument though, because at the end of the day, you kind of want industrial grade dildos. That way you know they're well made. Yes, that way you know they're well made and they're of a material that's not absorbent.
Well,
Like that
But,
shit's
like-
important. You want industrial grade.
industrial grade, like a little bit too solid for like. Well, perhaps not. I don't know. I guess it depends on the industrial grade what.
Industrial grade means it's industrial. It doesn't actually mean like, oh, it's super strong. That's like going, oh yeah, industrial grade steel. You know, the type that's used in scalpels that you can literally bend with your own fingers to
Oh,
apply
well,
pressure. Like
okay.
that's not. It's not like, oh, it's
Well,
industrial.
then what was the
so,
problem
like,
with it
it's
being industrial?
strong.
What was the problem with you being able to print on industrial strength things then, Kdaymea? That seems like it would just strengthen your ability to make these products.
If it was, I don't know, functional maybe, but like it's not. You're not going to be able to print. You're not going to be able to secure industrial grade printing materials for 3D
Play
printing.
this game while we have this argument is my favorite thing because like the frustration in your voice mirrors very well on screen the frustration of like his actions. It's kind of amazing, honestly.
I'm honestly, I just want you guys to know I'm about ready to throw my controller out the window because I fucking hate this gimmick.
This is my new favorite stream.
I mean, you could totally build one of those for sure. If you
a dildo launcher.
if you spent enough time with, you know, magical Gemini's 3D printer, I'm sure you can build anything. There's a blueprint out there. Someone will pirate it. You'll
Yeah.
pirate it. Everyone will pirate
Everyone
everything.
will pirate it.